From Lifestyle Financial Services, and we're here for part 3 of our Surviving Isolation Lifestyle series with David Lowe of Lowe Wines. And today I'm going to talk to David about matching wines with food, because it's something that I've never really understood. I like my wine, but I generally don't know which ones go best with what. So David, how would you best go about pairing a wine with a meal?
Well, I think the tip is really that there's a couple of principles that you need to know with matching wine and food. One is that you either compare the flavours of food, so you match a food with a wine that seems to be similar in terms of its style and opulence, or you contrast it, so you put something really out there, really strong and different from the food. So you might have a wine that's strong and a food that's light, or a wine that's light and a food that's strong. So the two propositions both work to a certain degree. And I wanted to do it by illustrating the 6 wines that we have in one of our packs, the packs that we sell at Lowe Wines. And we've got some food bread, and we've got some freshly chucked oysters. I'm going to work with 6 wines and explain how I would see the wine and food match, and make it as simple as possible, because there are no rules. There are no rules. In some wines, there's some rules that people take about wine and food that I don't think are nonsense. So it's a matter of trying in your own environment, but there's the things I'd like to explain that might make it simpler for you. And the first one I'm going to talk to you about is it's called a sparkling rosé. We call it Jody Wilbertree. It's my stripper name, the first pet that I had, which was a dog called Jody, in the street I grew up in, which is here, because I was born here, called Wilbertree Road. So I call it Jody Wilbertree. And I describe it as a non-sweet Moscato. And a sparkling wine like this doesn't really have to have food with it. It's more a celebration wine, because it's fizzy, it's full of gas, it's been fermented, second fermentation, so it's sparkling, or the Germans, the Italians call it frizzanti. But it's a celebration wine, so it's bright, effervescent. You could certainly have it with bread and capers and things that are bright and lively as anti-pasta dishes as well. But essentially it's just a drink that you have cold. Maybe put the cap, it's got a crown seal, or stick a cork in it, or drink it straight away. It's fizzy and bright, and it's a really pick you up wine. You've got to serve them cold, because the reason it's super cold is it keeps the gas in solution. As it warms up, the gas gets lost and it goes flat, and it's not as good flat as it is full of gas. But something like a rock oyster, like this, is really lovely with this sort of wine. The second wine is called Dragonfly White, and it's a blend of 2 varieties, Traminer and Sauvignon Blanc. They're very fruity. And here is where we start talking about the contrast. People find it very difficult to have wine with chili-based foods. However, the reason that chili-based foods are difficult to match wine with is because they do an injury to the tongue. Everything becomes so powerful and so bruised and damaged. So chili can be very difficult because it dominates wine. So what happens with chili, though, is it makes your senses twice as sensitive. And to have a wine like this, which is a very fragrant wine, or a Sauvignon Blanc, or a Traminer, or Gouet's Traminer, means that chili actually opens up the wine, so the wine just explodes. And I often use the word like a balloon of flavour inside your mouth when you drink it. So chili will brighten up things. So quite like chili with the wine like that, which is fruity. Even some Greek food with some spice, some Spanish tapas or pinchos works quite well with a wine like that. Fruity, no sugar, dry, but very, very perfect. A bit like Turkish delight. So we like spicy foods with this sort of fragrant white wine, because it makes the senses twice as strong, because your taste buds are become super sensitive because they've been damaged by the chili. The next one I'm going to talk to you about is a Chardonnay, good old-fashioned Australian Chardonnay. We own this space. High alcohol, full of power, full of weight. These are words that are related to the alcohol content. This one is 15.2% alcohol. I've been telling Gareth that you should drink it instead of water. It's really 85% water. Forget about 15% alcohol. It's a bit of an old-fashioned Aussie Chardonnay, really oaky, really strong. And you can certainly have this with white meats or even a pasta dish. Something with more robust, you can start putting some cheese with it and some greens like the last series you talked about. A good old-fashioned Australian Chardonnay is great with white meats because it's got the power and weight. We often call these a red drinker's white wine. So here we're having a wine that matches the food. It's powerful and strong, but it doesn't dominate the food. A red wine might be too strong for a pasta dish. We're going to talk about the fourth wine now, my flagship red wine called Preservative Free, PF. Preservative Free is really got no sulphur in it. It's a hangover-free red, we say, and we often serve this cold. It's really fruity, it's really fragrant, dark in colour, and it's quite good with prosciutto. Prosciutto with cured ham, suppresso, prosciutto. These Italian-based foods are quite tasty, but a little bit of oil and a fat with them, and they need this cold, strong red just to mitigate the strength that comes from these cured meats. Always with these wines, you need to, with no sulphur, you need to consume them almost the same day that you drink them. And most of us wouldn't have a problem with that. For that reason, we also have a smaller bottle, a 500ml bottle. If you're of the type that can only drink one bottle, a smaller bottle a day, we have a 500ml version of this as well. A red like that is fruity, it's no sulphur, it's a drink now red, it's concentrated and powerful, but it has really almost white wine fruity characteristics. So things like cured meats is ideal with this. Now we're going up in concentration. The Merlot is, in Australian Merlots have been a bit of a disappointment. To me, they're herbal, green, weedy is the word we often use in winemaking parlance. I spent some time in '89 with the world's greatest Merlot producer called Shiraz. So I've been always trying to make a great Merlot, and I finally jagged one. It's taken me 35 years. If it was any other occupation, I'd have got the sack, Gareth. But with Merlot, it's my headstone to a certain extent. I've been trying to make a great one, and this is really good. It's quite dark. Here I'd be going with root vegetables, dark root vegetables. You can certainly roast them, or you could put them in a pan. Dark and strong, even with speck. Speck is that ham, bacon ham that is fried. Quite strong, dark in colour, very heavy taste, quite a moderate amount of tannin, and this is also wine that will keep. We know that in 5 to 10 years' time, this wine will be better for it. Now, one of the earlier videos I did with you, we talked about wine with age, and this is a great example of wine. If you wanted to keep it, certainly you could drink it tonight, but you can keep it for 5 to 10 years successfully, and that wine will transform from being young and muscly and aggressive to a wine with softness and great evenness of taste. So you don't have any edges to the wine. That's what aging wine's all about. You're taking something that's young and colourness of youth into the experience of age with time. You know, that's what we say anyway as we're old. And the last one, these are organic of course, and the last one is our Shiraz. We call it Blockade Shiraz. The strongest of them. Really good with rack of lamb. It's got Shiraz has got varietal characteristics we call licorice or aniseed. Our tannins aren't heavy. The tannin is the dryness that you get from that comes from the seeds, the skins, and the pips in the winemaking process. If you drink tea, you'll know that in a white crockery you'll get a little bit of extract on the inside the teapot or inside the crockery of the cup. That's actually tannin that comes out of the tea when you actually extract it with hot water. The tannin in tea is the same as tannin in wine. They're related to colour. We call them phenolic compounds. So that tannin is a natural characteristic that gives you a bit of the dryness. The way we make wine here, and I don't like wines that are excessively dry, is we extract the colour and flavour out of the skins, which is part of the winemaking process, and we try to minimise the tannin. The tannin is the dryness. So yes, it's full and strong, and it will keep, and it is powerful, but this wine is built for a long time, but it's also easy to consume now. That's quite a consistent characteristic of the great wines of the world, is that they're good now and better later on. Very few wines in the world get better with time. These two are great examples of wines getting better with time. And you'll know that when you taste it. When you have it with food, it makes the wine sing, it makes the food sing. They both things together help each other. There's this great duality about it of being bright and young and complex when it's old, but it's they help each other to have a great experience. And so, what better thing to do? Bunker down. Like we're bunker down in the winery is to have wine, and where you are is to try these 6 wines that represent the sort of wines Gareth and I drink. Sparkling, up front, want to have a good celebration. You've got some good news for change, that's your wine there. Love chili, try that. Get into some strong red, root vegetables, speck and bacon, all those things. You'll find that those two things together will be complementary. Here, we're talking about a contrast. The fruitiness, the vibrancy, the Turkish delight smells of this with some chili, quite different than you get the balance of having full-bodied reds to go with the full-bodied foods you have.
So, David, a question for you, because I find from people that I know, sweet wines, and I know sweet's not the right word, fruity wines, probably a better word, seem to be less popular. People don't like them so much. It seems to be trendy to drink dry wines, but I'm a bit like you. I don't like my wine too dry. So
I think what you're asking, I think, is about the fact that the people's taste buds over the last 20 years have transformed from being sweet to much drier. And dryness is a term, it's a bit hard to describe, but dryness really means the wine has got no sugar in it. So a wine like that has a little bit of sugar in it, but nowadays we're more careful about what the consumer thinks. We don't have wines that are sweet to be popular. Sugar holds flavour. Let's be clear about this. So if you want to have a child, you want to get to eat some food, you put sugar in it, they're going to eat it. The hamburger buns from those dreadful takeaway places, all those bread rolls and things are quite sweet. It makes people enjoy it, but it hides the flavour. The real flavour of wine comes when you remove the sugar. Sugar is a balancing act. So wines that are excessively acid often have sugar to mitigate the acidity. Cheap, rubbish red wines that are excessively tannic will have red wine put back into them or kept retained during fermentation, so again you mitigate the dryness of the wine. That's basic alchemy. That comes from industrial winemaking. We're finding these days with our winemaking, which is careful winemaking and organic winemaking, we build texture into the wine. So texture is this characteristic called the fifth taste. You have sweet, sour, saline and bitter. And now talk about this characteristic called umami, a Japanese character, which is textural. Most of the good winemakers of the world now balance wine not with sugar and acid, with texture. And that's part of the winemaking characteristics we all go the extra length to do. Sweetness is definitely on the nose. People are getting less and less sugar. There's health reasons, diabetics, often, and the sweet wine does clag up your taste buds and does affect your taste buds. So it's an easy thing to make things sweet. It's a cheap thing to do to make things sweet, but the real quality comes from managing the sugar so it doesn't become the dominating feature. It's a really good point. Glad you asked that.
So you get what you pay for, right?
Pretty much, pretty much.
And if you don't want a hangover, then this is your man.
Yeah, you can drink 20 bottles of this, you might be tired, but if you drink anything else and I won't take the responsibility. But in my 12 years of making this preservative-free red, nobody has ever said to me they've had a hangover from this red.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty good.
That's
and I'm a good test because I'm asthmatic and allergic to sulphur. So it's a drink I have at home.
Well, thank you, David.
Pleasure.
That's fascinating.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much.
It's something to eat now.
Yeah.
You didn't say what goes with bread.
Yeah. So we hope you've enjoyed our three-part isolation series, and if you have enjoyed it and you'd like more information, please let us know. Shoot us an email or whatever's most convenient, and we can do more of these. I know David's happy to impart more of his wisdom with us. So, and David, would you like to just also reiterate the packs, because you've got more than one pack?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, we've had such fun that we also suggested that if you wanted to, if there was a demand, we're happy to shoot some other ones, and we even have a live performance if you want to ask us questions. We're happy to do that, interact. As Gareth said, what we've tried to do for people who are new to what I do at Low Wine is to offer a 3 packs, all $150. They vary in the wine proposition. This one has got 6 different varieties I just talked about. One pack has got 3 lots of 2 reds. Those 3 into 6 bottles, 2 of each, And there's another one over here which has got two different ones of white and some rosé. But all this information is available on my website, lowwine.com. We're in social media, Low Family Wine Company. I'm doing some videos as well. We encourage you to watch that. Encourage you to drink wine in these moments and have it with good food. And remember, quality is best. Quality is the most important thing. Pleased to talk to you. Love to hear from you again. Send in any questions you have. We're enjoying this as much as you are. Thanks very much.
And David, I think as one last anecdote, you should tell us how you came up with the name Headstone on your Headstone Rosé. Maybe clean it up a bit, maybe.
Yeah, well, so Headstone Rosé reflects my time working in Bordeaux. I worked in the wine industry in Bordeaux in France between 1992 and 1995, and I was responsible for making this rosé that twice won the London Times Rosé of the Year, International Rosé of the Year. And of course it was quite famous, and when I returned to Australia the word was this famous winemaker from Australia was coming back, who was famous for making the world's best rosé. My father was quite horrified to say that if I died tragically at the time, all that would be on my headstone would be that I was a famous rosé maker. For him, rosé was seen as perhaps not the best wine to have for a budding young winemaker. So therefore I call it Headstone Rosé, and I have a picture of a headstone and lots of wine and good cheer with it. So that's why I call it Headstone Rosé. A lot of my wines are about stories, because stories make it more interesting. We're not about snobbery or elitism with wine. We just want to have fun with wine, and that's why we also have a good quality in food, and we enjoy doing these things.
Thanks, David.
Pleasure.